The reason you're not in shape is probably not laziness. It's that most fitness advice only works when life is easy, when work is calm, when sleep is decent, when the fridge is full, when nothing unexpected happens. And that's why so many plans look good on paper, but then they end up falling apart by, let's say, Wednesday. Your body doesn't change on ideal weeks. It changes on those normal ones. So if you work, study, commute, and then get home tired, and still want to get in shape without making fitness your entire life, this is actually what matters. And I'm not going to give you the fantasy version. The version that still works when the week is messy, your energy is low, and you really can't be bothered to do anything mad. That's where most people get stuck. They keep trying to follow these plans that were never built for their actual life in the first place. Then, when they can't keep up, they blame themselves instead of the plan. And that's usually where the real problem lies. You've probably done this before. You get one of those moments where you're like, right, enough now. I need to sort myself out. Maybe you just binged on a Sunday and feel a bit whack. Or maybe you've even watched a motivational video. So then if you're really disciplined, you end up making a plan. This time, you're doing it properly. You're training 5 times a week, maybe 6. You're meal prepping, you're hitting your macros, you're getting your steps in, you're sleeping on time. And for a few days, it feels like paradise. You feel organized, you feel focused, you feel like you're finally getting shit together. Then real life turns up. Work gets busy, uni gets stressful, you start sleeping a little bit badly, you get home late and you end up missing one session. On weekends you might start binging a bit, and suddenly that plan that looked perfect on Sunday is falling apart by Wednesday. Now you feel behind again. And this is the part where most people end up saying, I just need more discipline. And look, sometimes that is part of it, but most of the time, the problem is much more simpler than that. Their plan only works when life is calm. And if your fitness plan only works when life is calm, I hate to break it to you, it's not a good plan. So this video isn't about how to get in shape if you've got loads of time. It's about how to actually do it when your life is busy. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is the biggest mistake. Hands down. A lot of people build their approach around an ideal week, not their normal one. Their ideal week is a version of life where they wake up fresh, work is manageable, they feel motivated every single day, and nothing unexpected happens. So basically, fiction. And because that whole plan is built around that imaginary week, the moment real life shows up, the whole thing starts wobbling. That's why so many people keep saying they fell off. The plan was just too fragile. So the fix is simple. Build a minimum week, not a perfect week. A minimum week is what moves you forward even when life is messy. For most people, their minimum week is this: 3 proper gym sessions, a daily step target you can actually hit, or at least something like 2,000 more steps than you're doing now, 3 protein-focused meals on most days, and that alone is already enough to make progress. Not perfect progress, but real progress. Because if your plan only works from the best ever weeks, it's not serious. The best plan is one that works when you're tired, busy, and especially when you're not in the mood. That's what your plan needs to survive. The next mistake, which I see a lot of new beginners do, but it happens with more experienced people, is that they make training too much of their life. A lot of busy people are always following gym plans that ask way too much of them. Too many sessions, too many exercises, too much volume, too much time, too much of this optimal. And look, optimal sounds great. In theory, I'd also like perfect recovery, 0 stress, and someone else handling all my meal prep. In real life though, if your workout needs loads of time, loads of energy, perfect timing, and a full internal pep talk just to begin, it's going to be very, very easy to skip it. So your training needs to be efficient, not lazy, efficient. There's a big difference. You do not need to spend your life in the gym. I mean, if you tell 2023 Rohan that, he'd be raging. But look, all you need to do is get in, do what you need to do, and get up. For most busy people, that means sessions of about 45 to 60 minutes. 1 or 2 main lifts, and then some accessories. Good effort, then leave. That is enough. You do not need a 7-day split and 50 different cable angles for a good body. You need a plan that you can actually just repeat. So the practical move here is simple. Pick 3 training days you can realistically hit most weeks. Build each session around the basics. Keep it short enough so that it feels doable on a random tired Thursday. And aim to get that little bit stronger over time. I can guarantee you that's the plan that's going to work. Not the one that looks impressive in your notes app. Delete that one. This is the one that you still stick to when life gets heavy. This is the part where a lot of people quietly mess themselves up. And it's not because they don't know what healthy food looks like, but because they make food take way too much thinking. Every day becomes a constant stream of decisions. What should I eat? How many calories is that? How much protein have I had? Do I cook? Do I order? Is this okay to eat? Have I now messed the day up just because I binged on some chocolate? Should I just restart tomorrow? That is not a system. That's just admin. And busy people already have enough of that. When life gets hectic, you don't suddenly become more disciplined with food. You end up falling back on whatever is easiest. That's why I believe food defaults matter so much. See, what you need is meals that you can repeat without thinking too hard. So I'm going to give you the practical fix. Pick 2 easy breakfasts, pick 2 easy lunches, pick 2 or 3 easy dinners, and pick 2 high protein snacks. Now, when life gets busy, you're not making 50 food decisions a day. You're actually following a structure. And make sure every main meal has a proper protein source in it. Chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, mince, fish, tofu, whatever works for you. Just make protein obvious. Because when life gets busy, people don't rise to their nutrition goals. They fall back on their default. So fix the defaults. Make the easy option a decent option. That matters way more than trying to eat perfectly for like 4 days. And then Friday comes and you lose your head because you've had a long week and you have no plan. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They fall behind for a bit and then decide they just need to go all in. Long workouts, perfect eating, cardio every day, absolutely no flexibility, no treats, maximum discipline. And for a few days it feels amazing. They feel locked in. Then life catches up, something gets missed, energy drops, and the whole thing comes crumbling down. Now they feel bad again, and then they restart. Then they crash again, and then they restart again. That cycle feels productive because it feels intense. But intensity is not the same thing as progress. Your body doesn't give a toss about how hard you work for 5 days. It only responds to the stuff you can keep doing. That is the real question. Not what is the hardest plan I can survive this week. The better plan is what can I do this week and next week and the week after that. That's how real results are actually built. So the practical shift here is simple. Stop judging your plan by how hard it feels. Start judging your plan by how repeatable it is. Look, a good week is not one where you destroy yourself. A good week, at least by my standards, is one where you eat reasonably well, you hit your sessions, get your protein in, move about enough, and then you can still do it all again next week. Because that's what's actually going to change your body. Your body changes from what you can repeat, and that's going to take a lot of getting used to. Because we all just want to do the most we can in this moment. But you've got to realize it's a journey, and a long one at that. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough. But you've got to build a plan that can survive that whole mess. And this is one that quietly ruins everything. Too many people still treat fitness like a daily negotiation. Can I even be bothered? Oh, forget it. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Or maybe when work calms down a bit. Maybe just after this deadline. And somehow life never sends that message saying, good news, everything is easy forever. Look, if your routine depends on motivation, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Because motivation comes and goes. Busy people need systems, not a constant negotiation with themselves. So the practical step here is to remove as much friction as possible. That means fixed training days, a gym bag that's packed beforehand, meals already bought. Just give yourself less thinking overall. Because when you're tired, stressed, or mentally drained, you're not suddenly going to become this hyper-disciplined version of yourself. You're going to do what feels easiest. It's just the way your brain works. So why don't you just make the right things easier? That's when fitness stops feeling like a constant emotional and mental battle, and it just becomes automatic. And that is when people finally stop restarting all the time. The realistic system. So if I had to strip all of this right down to the bare bones, this is actually what works for busy people. Train 3 times a week, Keep the sessions efficient, base them around the basics, and just get a little stronger over time. Hit a solid protein intake each day by ensuring each meal has an obvious protein source. Create repeatable meals so you're not deciding everything from scratch. Walk more than you do now. Protect your sleep where you can. And finally, follow one simple rule. Never miss twats. That's the system. It's not extreme. It's not flashy either. Take it this way, if you were to show that on social media, you're not going to get loads of likes. But it's the thing that works. And it works because it actually fits into real life. And that's the bit that painfully people miss. Getting in shape with a busy life is not about doing everything under the sun. It's about making the few things that matter easy enough to keep doing. So if you're busy and you keep feeling like you're failing, stop asking whether you need more motivation. Start asking whether your plan actually fits the life you live. Because the people who stay in shape are not the people with perfect lives. They're the people with plans that still work on the busy and imperfect weeks. That's the goal. Not a plan that impresses you on Sunday night. A plan that still works on Thursday evening. That is how busy people actually get in shape. Thanks for watching. And once again, don't let me beat you to the top. Love and guidance.